Hey there, it's your boy Rich Quick and the guy Kyle P. This is Two Things Can Be True, and this is our movie review for The Batman. Dun dun.
uh,
This was a well anticipated movie. My bad, Kyle. Say what's up to the crowd.
yeah, what's up, people? I'm in the chair though. Doesn't
He's
matter.
in the chair. He is in the chair. And again, this is the Batman movie review. All spoilers will be spoiled today. Just giving you your warning. Three, two, one. Spoilers. This was my most anticipated movie for the past couple of years. The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Patterson as the Batman, Bruce Wayne, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Selena Kyle, Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon. We have Colin Farrell as the Penguin, Paul Dano as the Riddler, John Turturro as Carmen Falcone, Andy Serkis as Alfred, and we have some secret. Oh, it's not secret. Spoilers. And we have Barry Cogan as unnamed prisoner, but we all know him as the Joker now. So right away, this movie is a noir detective film. Um, I would compare it to if Seven and Taxi Driver and Batman had a baby.
Mm.
You get this movie. The vibes, the way the movie's shot, the score. It's a very, very intense movie. Matt Reeves also directed the Planet of the Apes franchise, which I thought he brought some good life to it. Did you catch that? Did you catch any of the Planet of the Apes movies?
Yeah, of course it did. Absolutely. To me personally, I'm a sci-fi nut, so I mean, it was right up my alley. When I first saw Planet of the Apes, I was little, like the original, which came out in the
Right.
'70s. I was born in the '70s, so it when it came out and I started seeing it on TV, when they let you see it once in the blue moon on like Channel 3 or something like that. They were good, man. Like I was really interested in them, so it's right up my alley. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was with it.
Great.
I got
Great.
hooked.
And this to me, this movie was made for Batman comic book fans, not the movies. This was what all Batman fans wanted to see.
Hmm.
And just to say that it's in the conversation with The Dark Knight is an accomplishment of itself because I think The Dark Knight is the best comic book movie created, and it's one of my top five movies of all time. Christopher Nolan did an excellent job with the excellent acting of Heath Ledger, Christian Bale, Michael Caine. The list goes on. So this story is about a serial killer, aka the Riddler, going around Gotham, murdering city officials, and a mystery is involved. It involves Bruce Wayne's parents, the city, and police, and just everyone that has to deal with like the mob and things like that. Um, Paul Dano's performance in this movie I thought was awesome.
Hmm.
So the movie starts off with, you're seeing the Riddler's perspective, him watching the head of the, I think, DA, and he murders him, and then Batman comes into the picture. And just right from the gate, when you see, actually, in the beginning scene, you have Batman following these thugs that are beating on a citizen, and you have they have the citizen all hemmed up, getting ready to do some damage to him, and then you hear these footsteps just come out the shadow. You hear these heavy, heavy footsteps, which makes sense because he has like a suit of armor on, and these big, heavy, heavy footsteps come out the shadow, and then he gets the tingling, and he's beating them up. It's kind of like the Batman video game series, the way he's bouncing around and fighting different opponents, and it's the
Hmm.
best action that you've seen in a Batman movie, just right from there. The one thing about the Christopher Nolan series, I would say, is that the action suffered. You never really saw what was going on. It was very close, but here you can see him use different tactics.
Hmm.
Um, and he's getting beat up in this film. He's in year two. to be
Mm,
exact, and he doesn't have everything worked out. So he's
right.
taking damage when he fights, and he beats these thugs up. And you can see how they shoot the movie that they shoot at the corner of these dark alleyways, and instead of criminals running into the dark alleyways, they're running into the middle of the street because they think Batman's in the dark. And I thought that was
Mm,
very, very clever of the director and the way they're portraying Batman. He's almost like Jason Voorhees in this movie from the crypt. You know, he may be there, he may not, but you know
mm.
he's going to slow walk to you and beat the crap out of you.
Damn.
Um, then you have this
Drift up on you. Real
then
personal.
you have this mystery going on with the Riddler, and why is he killing these city officials, and why is he doing the things that he does? And you're following this, and it's a 3 hour movie, and you know I went in. I'm thinking, all right, maybe an hour in, there's going to be a Bruce Wayne scene where you have time to run out and take a pee. No, that doesn't happen in this film. Once it begins, you need to watch every second of this film, or you're gonna miss something. I and he's Batman 95% of this movie, so this is the most Batman of Batmans of the Batman. I mean,
Mm.
how does that sound so far for somebody who hasn't even really seen it yet?
It sounds good. I mean, like it sounds different, and that's what I think happens in with Batman. Like Batman goes through like this evolution every time, and it seems to work out for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For Batman, it's just like all you can go all the way back until they first started doing Batman on TV, like the series. Like it worked then. It really did. I was really interested. It didn't last that long, but we were watching those reruns for a long ass time, and it
yeah,
worked. And then depending on where you go with it, the series, even drifting over to the animated part, shit they
that's what I was.
do, it
That's what I was
works. It's
gonna
just
say.
so it's another evolution, a successful evolution in the Batman, um, you know, universe, so to speak. So they did a good job.
Hmm.
I mean, I know they did. I mean, like everybody's talking about it. When I see it, I know I'm going to be like, yeah, they did a good job. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. So,
And I couldn't believe that a film got more grounded than the Nolan series, and it did. You know, he has these contact lenses in his eyes that records everything he sees, and you see him get in at night, and he takes them out, and his eyes are all bloodshot red from being out all night, and he has
wow.
to keep a he has to keep a journal to keep the days from blending in together. And even when he wakes up, when he's out the suit, like the sun is blinding him, he doesn't have the Bruce Wayne persona of the billionaire playboy life. It's almost like he's addicted to
Like
being Batman. He
he's like
doesn't
a
want to be Bruce
Howard
Wayne.
Hughes type of dude.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's weird shit. All
And
that money.
yeah, and the way he acts, he's like all emo, and it makes sense because Batman's not a regular person. For somebody to dress up at night and beat criminals to a pulp with his bare fist at night, you have to
Right.
be a little bit off to do that. Right? You're not going to be the most social person. So I like where that's groundwork for character growth. I love that.
Right.
And then you have a Catwoman that just drops in, and she's there, and she has a perfect story to me. You know, her friend disappeared, and she's Batman and her are using each other to find this woman. This woman is connected to Carmine Falcone, which is connected to the Riddler. It's all connections. Very again, Seven. Just picture Seven with Batman in it.
Hmm.
The action scenes were very visceral, and it felt like it hurt when you watch him. When he's taking damage and punching people. Um, the attention to detail and everything in this movie was very impressive. Just like I said, his eyes being bloodshot red, and for the first time, we have the black eye paint under his mask, which he wears, which they never show in the movie. Like he has to wear that,
Hmm.
or you'll see the brown in his, around his eyes. So I like the realness of it. Um, Him and Alfred doesn't have the best of a relationship. Alfred, they're taking the take from Alfred has this one of personas where he was a Green Beret, and in this version, I guess instead of the League of Shadows training him, I'm not really sure. They didn't really uh, delve on that. But Alfred trained him from a boy to be Batman,
Mm.
which I really liked. A new on-screen version of Batman. His interaction with the cops is very, very tense. Like when he walks in a room, the cops are like, "Hey, why is he here? Get him out of here!" And Gordon vouches for him.
Mm.
And this guy does more acting with his eyes than I've ever seen in my life. There's one scene where a cop was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He just looks at him. "Hey, put that down." He just looks at him. Then the cop just gives up. He's not going to stop him. Um, Again, you had to see every shot of this 3 hour movie. I
3 hours.
like,
That sounds good.
yeah, when the cops were chasing him, he had to run up to the build. He ran up to the top of the building trying to escape, and he deployed his wingsuit, which I loved. It was very practical. It was a squirrel suit for skydiving. He gets
Mm.
to the edge, and then you see his mouth drop. Like, oh my god! Like this is year two. He's not used to jumping off buildings, so I just like how he was just like not scared, but he just whoa, this is happening right now. Um,
I like that.
and
He said,
again,
"This is happening right now." Yeah.
yeah, and like he does the squirrel suit. It's not the perfect landing. He lands, hits the bus, and hits the alleyway, and he's a little messed up. And gets up like obviously that was his first time doing it, and I love seeing it. It's just not worked out because you know realistically you wouldn't be able to glide on fabric with all that armor. So I just like the realness of this. Also, I loved it was kind of like he was Sherlock Holmes. He was always one step ahead of the cops. They didn't want to say they needed him, but they needed him. For every Riddler, for every riddle he solved, they looked at him and was like, "Oh man, we kind of do need this guy." Like he was the detective part of Batman is the most fascinating part of Batman. If you're a Batman fan,
Hmm.
let's instead of talking about, but let's get to some of these side characters. Colin Farrell was completely unrecognizable as the Penguin. Man, he disappeared into that role. He was
Really.
funny, he was fierce,
Hmm.
and he was entertaining. He chewed up the scenery, and he's going to have a spin-off show coming out with HBO, and I believe they just changed it to.
HBO's
I think it's
trying.
based around Arkham.
Mm.
What'd you say?
I said HBO trying to get they act together. I see it.
Yeah,
They never really was out,
yep,
but they do have these little moments that just be like little lulls. Like I'll tell you this much: their movie thing, like the Batman, they actually been stepping it up because they had some dry ass movies for a long time. Like just
yeah.
once in a blue moon, they get a good movie on. Now they just starting to get their act together a little bit, and yeah, I have to give them a round of applause on that one because I like HBO.
hmm And then another major, I wouldn't even call him a side character. I would consider him part-time lead, James Gordon, Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is one of the greatest actors we have today, and him as
Mhm.
commissioner, well, not commissioner yet, Lieutenant Gordon was a perfect pick. Do you like Jeffrey Wright?
Uh, Excuse me. Mm. I can't say that I do. I haven't really like seen his work. You gotta name a few of his things so I can picture his face.
Okay, well, he was one of the guys at Westworld. He's done so much
Oh,
voiceover work.
Westworld. Who was he in Westworld?
What'd you say?
Who was he? I mean, if you don't remember, don't. There's like a
Uh,
trillion people in Westworld,
okay,
but I
but
would say if you remember who he was, then I'll know who he is. And see,
I think he was. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
yeah.
But they seem like partners. Again, if you picture Seven, just
Oh yeah.
picture Brad Pitt as
Hold on. What's his name? I'll
Batman
just Google
and
it.
Lieutenant Gordon as Morgan Freeman.
Damn.
And they solve this together. It's not just Batman. It's him, Lieutenant Gordon using the police force, and Batman using his resource together to find this guy. Great, great character. Selena Kyle. I loved her her take on Cat role on
What?
Catwoman. She seemed very sincere. She seemed dangerous. She seemed mysterious. And for the first time, Batman doesn't tell Catwoman he's Batman, which I loved. You know, they kept it real. The Riddler, Paul Dano, again, grade A performance. Uh, I would I would say this is maybe his third best performance that he's done. Um, Carmine Falcone,
Ooh.
great, great, uh, great mob story, and it all comes together at the end. Yeah, again, these 3 hours, you have to watch all of it.
Oh, okay. Jeffrey
Mm.
Wright. I see what you're talking about now. That's my guy. In Westworld,
Yeah.
definitely. I forget his name, but yeah, he definitely was on point.
Hmm.
And that he's a good actor. You know what I mean? When they see
The,
that's the thing though. I'm gonna miss HBO because the next season of Westworld definitely will be coming at some point, and I'm not going to be able to see it.
hmm.
The boy Paul Dano, he do look like a Riddler type of person. His face just looks like he could just be one of those little pompous poot dudes. It's a Riddler. It's interesting.
Another spoiler alert, but people should know Barry Cogan as the Joker. I love his take on the Joker. He, it didn't seem like he was impersonating anybody. It was his version. His face was like all beat up, and his fingernails are all chewed off. His hands are all like just beat up. And Batman, it was a deleted scene. He came to him with a case file and he gave it to him. The laugh was perfect. I can't wait to see more from this character. Uh, I I don't know if they're gonna do the Joker in the second one, but I like how Batman went to him for kind of like a Hannibal Lecter thing. He went him for some advice, some good advice too. Just all
So the
the
Batman went to the Joker for the advice. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he was trying to figure out who the Riddler was, and the Joker figured it right out in 2 minutes. He figured the whole plot out in 2 minutes. It was a deleted scene. I thought they could have snuck it in there and cut some of the
Yeah, I
something
don't see
else
why
out,
not.
but it. I mean, his hair, his head was all beaten up. Like he looked like a disformed Joker. His face was white. His lips. Oh man, they never really focused on his face. He had too much teeth in the front. It was a great Joker, and it culminates in the end of this of
He's
Batman
ugly as
versus
shit, man.
the Joker's henchmen, um, and Batman really having an arc in the film. He's just not the Batman that he started out to be. He realized just being fear and just being vengeance at night is not going to help the city. He realized he had to go out and provide hope for the city. And you see that with some of the cinematography, him leading people out of a dark tunnel and him helping people in the daytime, helping
Mm,
disaster relief. And he's being the symbol of hope that he wants to be. Also, the Batmobile, I love the take they had on it. It was like a muscle car that he
mm,
built in his basement, and it kind of stalls out when he's chasing. So everything's not working properly yet.
mm.
It's year two, but it's him trying to be this symbol, and I just like how we're going through his trials and the narration over it, and it's just a very good film. I I struggle with this in the Dark Knight right now. I like more things about the Batman than I do about the Dark Knight. But I love Dark Knight as a film. I
Mm.
mean, they're both. I would put them up. They're neck to neck right now. I'm not sure. I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that makes sense to me. Because definitely the Dark Knight, you can't turn that down. That's definitely when hardcore started coming into play, for real, in the movies. Uh, I would say around near the zombie area when TV started getting real and shit started getting real. You know what I mean? As far as
right,
like
right.
gritty, back to grittiness. And
Hmm.
yeah, so The Dark Knight was definitely a film uh, surrounding like some grit, showing Batman's dark side, showing some of the like darker nature of the his enemy characters and whatnot, getting his back
Gotcha.
broke. You know what I mean? When I
And
first, yeah. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was about to say when I first, and I gave the book to my son, like the Breaking of Batman. Those are like when you find like a character like Bane or somebody like that, or something. When you start touching base on it, and your main character just gets beat the hell up. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, one of your little heroes in your childhood.
Right.
It kind of does something to you. So like the Dark Knight, to me, that whole series was just about like it getting real for Batman. You know what I mean? And they did a good
Mm,
job for it because I mean they did a good job. Like how they escalated up to that point, and then like they bowed out. They didn't go no further. It was like the series was done. You had a trilogy, and they bowed out, and that was the end of that era in Batman. So, and then you have this one. You know what I mean?
right.
It's good. They do Batman well. I mean, they do. Like, unfortunately, when it comes to DC, they don't do. The track record hasn't been that consistent, but they do. They are getting better. They are definitely getting better because, like, I didn't think they did such a bad job with the Superman series, except that whole you know Doomsday thing. That wasn't right. But anyway, the first one was popping. I mean, I thought that thing was up. I thought they was headed in the right direction, but that's another story in itself. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
And as a first installment in the Batman franchise, we're probably getting three movies. I gotta give this to 10 out of 10 for me. I mean,
Mm,
the where they're heading, and to me right now, Robert Pattinson is the best Batman. He is Batman to me. I can't express more of the acting that he did with his eyes in this film. You knew what he was thinking just looking in his eyes. It's so amazing to watch this film again when you look at Batman and he's reading the room and you could just see his mind turning all the time, just turning, thinking. And I just never seen so much expression in someone's eyeballs. Like you don't see it. He has a mask on. The only thing you can see is his mouth and his eyes, and he's not saying anything. So everything is just being communicated through his two little pupils, and that's a cheers to the actor. If this is the first installment in any film, if it was a brand new IP, it would be the greatest film ever. That's how people would rate it. But it's Batman, so people take it back a few. It's building a world that I like. There's I really don't. It has a kind of a Breaking Bad cinematography, how they kind of linger on things and show how people do things. You
mhm.
know what I mean when they shoot. The guy that plays Nacho.
Yeah, Ignacio.
That guy is an incredible actor. He was doing an interview with like Jimmy Kimmel. He was
Mm,
so soft spoken and nice. I said, "Oh man, that guy's a great actor because you're nothing like that on Better Call Saul." Like he was so I couldn't even picture him being Nacho. Like he's such a nice person,
mm.
and
I had to
I
see
couldn't
that.
picture Robert Pattinson being an intimidating Batman, but he is. When he puts that cowl on, I don't even think about Twilight
Yeah,
or
I'm looking
any
at
of that.
his little picture of Batman. It fits him and shit. They did a good job with the fitting of the mask to his face,
Yeah, yeah,
so to
yeah,
speak.
his face too. He has
'Cause
a
it does
Batman
work.
jawline. Like people say, "Oh, you could tell it." I couldn't tell that white guy from another white guy. His
Mm,
jaw looked like everyone else's. Like you couldn't tell who that guy was.
mm,
Um, the only no movie's perfect. The only thing I would say is that it maybe some of the scenes went on maybe too long, but that's a director's choice. That's kind of
mhm,
like what I was saying about Vince Gilligan, how he shoots Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. How how they kind of just linger on scenes for a while. You don't know why. You don't know why the camera's there and it's just lingering.
mhm,
Um, I loved it, man. I gotta say, like it's top notch. And the reason why I love it so much is that I think I'm tired of Marvel. I'm tired of the cookie cutter shapes and everything's going to turn out well and everything's going to be all right. But when you watch, I like the difference of DC. Like when I watch a DC thing, I don't know what's going to happen. just like the Peacemaker show. Like it wasn't like anything I've ever seen before. Like things were happening. It wasn't cookie cutter. It was real. Like and something Marvel has a limit. They won't allow someone to be killed or this or that. DC
Mhm.
has no limit. They have no holds barred. And I gotta say, Peacemaker is top three comic book series all time TV right now. Season one.
Mm.
Watch it, please, and tell me you could point out a better written, directed show than that. That thing, the only, my number one comic book TV show all time is, of course, The Watchmen. I don't think anything will top that. Man,
It's
I took some
good,
edibles and watched that. It
but
was the best thing. That was the best thing I ever saw.
this is what I have to say about that. So like, it was good. It was good. It wasn't like super spectacular, but I was
The
disappointed.
Watchmen.
I was disappointed they didn't do another season. Like they just ended it right there. Oh, we just wrap it all up. They could have squeezed in at least
Yeah, but
another
you
one.
can't dock it for not having another season. I'm talking about just the season in
The
general.
season was
You didn't like
fine.
how they tied everything up to racism
I
and
already
the
caught on to that in the beginning, the first episode. That shit was
okay.
apparent. That was highly apparent right there. So I already knew what they were doing. Kind of highly controversial. You know what I mean? Like storytelling. So I mean, like for me, it was just easy to catch on. But I thought they could have like they could have like dragged it a little bit. It had something going on good. You know what I mean? They could have did that a little bit more justice. Instead of just like one and done. Because or at least do
Yeah,
that and then make another movie. You know what I mean? Something
yeah.
like yeah,
I
they
get
could
that, but
have
that's where we
bam.
penalize a lot of movies trying to set up everything and doing other things instead of focusing on the main single story. I think The Watchmen connected everything correctly. Everything tied up. There's no loose ends. If you look at things on Watchmen, you can almost find no videos of them where they messed up at. Like, why does this make sense? It all makes sense. And I just love how they were focused on the story. They weren't worrying about, I think that's where a lot of TV shows fall into that hole. You trying to extend it and get more good feeling. Some things have a limit. Breaking Bad is good. Why? Because it was 5 seasons. You know, one of my
It was
favorite
kind of
shows,
they couldn't
Lost.
do no more though. I'll tell you this much on that. Speaking of which, I love Breaking Bad. It's a shit, but there's just some parts of it you just be like, damn, I just wish they just close this shit on up. Just wrap it up, man.
Right.
Like 5 seasons, I was like, that was respectful. You know what I mean? I was like, you just can't really drag on much more unless you want to have my man really take it to the next level. But yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld is famous for this quote when he had season. They went 9 seasons, and NBC offered him $110 million for one more season, and he
Ooh,
felt that the characters couldn't go anywhere, and he didn't want to make up a story. But what he said was, "You always want to leave the crowd wanting more, and that will be the biggest payoff in the end."
yeah, it's smart man. That
And
makes
to this
sense.
day, that's great. I do want more Watchmen, I gotta say, and I think that elevates it because you want more. Most series bad when I just kind of like with well, I don't want to put this in the same thing, but the whole Game of Thrones things, I think that was more directors not being involved. Like they cashed their check and they were out the door, but they kept trying to stretch some of these episodes out with filler instead of going into the book and really putting some new stuff in there. And they were just they messed it up. For all the Game of Thrones goodness, that last season was horrible. They kind of pooped the bed on that one. But
Yeah, they could have. Like, I'm a Game of Thrones nut. You know what I mean? Like, I still use like terminology today in reference to that stuff.
oh yeah, me too.
But yeah, sometimes it happens. Like, I mean, I can't really. They could have did worse, but it was
I
just one
hope
of
they
those things
could.
that they just wrapped it up. They tried, they just wrapped it all up. Let's wrap it up. That's what it felt like when he was watching the last season. It's like,
You know
we're
why
gonna
they
wrap
felt
this
that
all
way?
up,
Because they felt
and
that
that's
way
that.
because Netflix had a deal for them, Star Wars had a deal for them. all these people giving them hundreds of millions of dollars, and they just wanted to get out the door. They didn't want to do it no more, and you could tell. Like that season, I mean, you can literally break down the episodes on how bad they were. The decisions, like things that didn't make sense from a show that always made sense, like the Dothraki just running into the middle of the night to die, like that. No military person would ever tell, "Hey, send your cavalry out there. We don't know what's out there." And see what happens. I mean, it was just dumb decision after dumb decision, just for good visual effects to please the crowd, to extend the story. I like when people are on point and they know the story they're going to tell, and that's that. Don't try to influence by any way, because we always hear about movies getting messed up when the studio step in. But overall, 10 out of 10. Couldn't recommend it higher. It's on HBO Max right now, so you can watch it for free, or you can just pay $10 and then cancel your subscription, see a movie for $10. Kyle, I
Mm,
highly recommend that you see it, and tell where they can find us at.
okay. Yeah, they can find this at YouTube, or you can
Oh
check us out
yeah,
on Facebook. Haven't
oh
really done
yeah.
anything else outside of the little realms. You can Google us, or yeah, or just check us out on any podcast platform. I mean, you can just listen to us that way via Anchor, who we must thank for distributing our stuff. Um,
Awesome.
we got to thank Spotify too, because Spotify
Yeah.
owns Anchor. All right, that's it.
And hey, I gotta say, we launched this channel a couple weeks ago, about 7 videos. We have a nice little viewership now. I like it. This would be our like third time going at it, and we're gonna stay consistent, true. We'll produce episodes every week. We're gonna stick to this one, Kyle.
Yeah, I got a better schedule, so as you can see,
Yeah,
I'm
better
way
job
busy.
promotion, my man Kyle P. He
Uh,
is no longer in the fields, baby. He is in the big house.
and the house got a lot of responsibilities too. This job is not. These people's got money. You can't be messing this up, so I gotta be like super diligent now, man. Dang.
Awesome. If you guys have any movie reviews or any topics you want to go over, put it in the comments at YouTube. It's your
Mhm.
boy Rich Quick and the guy Kyle P. Signing out.
Peace.